By Emeka, and sorry. All right, let me take that again. Our next performance is by Emekus, and he will be singing Ada Ada by Flavor.
Emekus don't fall in love. Have you seen my beautiful baby? Have you seen my tomato baby? Oh, yeah. Baby, something cool me temper. Ada, baby, na sugar, sugar. Yo, are no fools on the hill. You must let my people go, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people's hands, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I say, we want to know who owns the land. I want to know who owns the land. Hustler, hey, Papa Hustler, Papa Hustler, Papa Hustler. It must be free. Angola want to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia want to know who owns the land. I say, someone want to know who owns the land. Zimbabwe want to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Papa Slam. Now listen to the history. We've been here since creation. We've been here since creation. What else do you know? Since the time of sun and sand. Since the time of moon and stars. Since the time of air and sea. Since the time of men and things. We must run from Cape to Cairo. Okay, now I want to talk to my people. Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Yeah, Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. I feel it's all over Daniela. Now we are the crossroads. On the Pemo, don't be lost. I feel it's all over Daniela. I'm not Pemo, don't be lost. Oh, Palimu Mega Gera Baba. Yeah, oh, Palimu Jasu Yalaka. Oh, Palimu Tizanya Vetonge. Oh, Mini
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this exciting broadcast that I bring to you today. And I would like to start by saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you wonderful Ambazonians out there, wherever that you may be, in ground zero, ground one, the diaspora, wherever in the diaspora. It's a wonderful thing to be alive today and to be back here in this new year, 2020. I want to believe that you all had a wonderful, wonderful celebration, of course, with the exception of those on ground zero who locked themselves in their homes, due to insecurity to commemorate the new year. We want to believe that by this time next year, everything would have been put in place and this war would have been over for all of you, and of course some of us joining you to come out on ground zero in our own country to celebrate the new year. That is our prayers for next year. And again, this is going to be a very, very exciting broadcast. And as usual, I want to appeal to you to please quickly hit your share button as you join. Quickly hit your share button as you join, so that I can quickly come to you with the broadcast proper. As though I don't see the numbers rising to my liking. So please, if you are just joining, please go ahead and you hit your share button and let us populate this Facebook and social media platform. I have some exciting information, very, very exciting information to bring to you today. So please let us do so, and do that quickly. I want to take a few moments to welcome some of you here. Bayong Ann, watching from Belgium. Good to see you, ma'am, and Happy New Year. Arch Succeed, again, good to see you, sir. One of the favorite on the platform. Also, Julius NG, good to see you, sir. Happy New Year. Rachel Sachs, good to see you, ma'am. Happy New Year. Chris in Kewad, good to see you, sir. Happy New Year. Foncha Cyprian, Happy New Year, sir. Going Solo, Happy New Year. Batibo Nelson, Happy New Year. Ladies and gentlemen, please I give you 5 minutes or 3 minutes for you to make 700 on this social, on this Facebook, so I can come to you. I see the numbers are rising to my liking now. So please let me say, Funkin Prince, Happy New Year. Cherie Methodius, Happy New Year. El Henry, I see you. Richard Abaiwe, Happy New Year. Mercy Enjoy, Happy New Year. Cleto Store, watching from Glasgow, good to see you, sir. Scotland. Praise Fokwa, Happy New Year. Edoli Dia Mario, Happy New Year. Dibio Van, Linda Ta, I think so. No, Linda Eni, I think so. Castro Labistorano, Amba Watana Wata, Happy New Year to all of you. Eric in Tambo, yes, sir. Favor Francis, Gustav Mam, Latte Justus. I mean, I don't have good eyes, so I really struggle to read here. So please hit your share button. I have a few announcements to make. Why I make those announcements, please go ahead and hit your share button. Go ahead and hit your share button. Hit your share button. Why I make these announcements. Announcement number 1, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind all of us, today is January the 6th. Every office is back to business, and I am here referring to the Congressional Office in Washington, D.C. There is an assignment that was left undone from last December. I'm talking about calling the office of Congress Lady Karen Bass. Congress Lady Karen Bass. We need to resume that assignment by calling her office and tweeting her, asking her office to give our leaders, the leaders of this revolution, of course, the interim government leaders, a hearing opportunity before a bill that she is drafting goes public. We need Karen Bass to be able to listen to us before a federal bill that she is drafting goes into public. Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that it was Karen Bass' office that drafted resolution, Congressional Resolution 358, that led to the convening of BS so-called Grand National Dialogue. So please, we do not want this one to pass us by. We never had an opportunity to have an input in that Resolution 358. And this one they are drafting, we do not want it to go public without us having some input into that bill. So please, we owe ourselves the duty to call the Congressional Office of Karen Bass to appeal to her. Number one, we need to talk to her. We need her to listen to us. And number two, We are not asking for a federal Cameroon. We are asking for our own country. So please, I'm sorry, there was no time for the technicians to get the contact numbers, the phone numbers on the screen, but I want to be sure, I am sure some of you have that number, or can Google Karen Bass office in Washington, D.C., and even in California, it doesn't matter. And of course, her Twitter account, you just need to go on Twitter and enter Karen Bass or Congresswoman, Congress Lady Karen Bass, and her Twitter handle would show up. So let's do that. Let's do that throughout this week. Let the phones ring and ring and ring in her office until they get our message. Ladies and gentlemen, you can do that. It doesn't take you anything apart from a few minutes to ring that congressional office to pass this message. Then that was the first announcement. The second announcement, I am speaking now particularly to Ground Zero and precisely to the people in Bali Combat. Again, the people in Bali Combat. We at the interim government would love the people of Bali Combat to know we stand behind the activities of the restoration forces in that community in Bali Combat in Ngoketunjia County. It has come to our attention that CPDM elites and the Fund of Bali Combat have been conniving to attack and to destroy our restoration forces, their camps in Bali Combat. We want the Fundum of Bali Combat to know these attacks, the rallying of the community to attack the restoration forces in Bali Combat cannot continue. If the Fund of Bali Combat should continue in these illegal activities because of his own stomach, because of self-centeredness, we want him to know we will have no choice but to ask the kingmakers of Bali Combat to enthrone a different fund for the people. The people of Bali Combat cannot be coerced, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the people of Bali Combat cannot be coerced by CPDM elites, CPDM cronies, including the Fund of Bali Combat, to rise against a legitimate force, restoration force in that community. We are asking the Fund of Bali Combat to stay clear. If he loves his life and loves his throne, he and the people he is collaborating with, they should stay clear of the activities of our restoration forces. We are very much aware, ladies and gentlemen, of some illegalities that some of the restoration forces are engaged in. But it is left to the leadership. It is left to the leadership of the restoration forces, of the county and LGA leadership to take care of the misdeeds going on within our forces. It is not the responsibility of enablers like the Fund of Bali Combat and his cronies to want to tell our legitimate restoration forces what they have to do and what they cannot do. Now, he is putting together La République du Cameroun army into Bali Combat to go after, to kill our restoration forces. Again, the Fund of Bali Combat is one. Sir, if you do not immediately desist from the illegalities that you are engaged in, trying to kill our restoration forces, we will have no choice. We will have no choice than to exile you, like Fonchafa from Bali Combat. You have picked the footprints of your late father. You will regret it, sir, if you maintain it, if you want to keep it, if you want to pursue it. The restoration forces shall have full authority to operate in Bali Combat. And I hope this message has gotten to the authorities, the fund of Balekumbat, the chief and the kingmakers in Balekumbat. What happened the other day in the name of so-called the local people rising up against the restoration forces? It was a setup. It was a setup set up by the fund of Balekumbat. We will not have that happen. Of all the counties, of all the LGAs in Ngoketunja, every other LGA except for Balekumbat is in control. That is why we are warning this fund, sir. Again, desist from these attacks on the restoration forces. You cannot fight them because it comes to the worst. It comes to the worst. You will be exiled. You will be dethroned from your chieftaincy in Balekumbat. I just want to hope you got this. And I hope that the people of Balekumbat, they got this. You do not want to align with a chief who is fighting against your own freedom and your own liberty. We will not accept it. We will not tolerate it. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, before I take you into the presentation proper, I just want to remind you once more, ladies and gentlemen, they need for us to sponsor this revolution at this dire moment is so huge. It's so huge. I can never forget. I can never ignore appealing to you to continue to support the revolution. Please pay your CID, enroll in your CID, and pay them. And also remember ABC Amber Club. ABC Amber Club. Please remember to go to the website abcambertv.org. abcambertv.org. Remember to go there to sign into the club. Thank you. Thank you so very much as you do so. This is what I am going to do today, ladies and gentlemen. After my presentation, I shall be bringing in a guest who is so much aware, very much informed of what took place in Yaoundé, the so-called return of refugees, a big scam that it was. I am going to bring in one person at the end of my presentation who has some very, very good facts about what happened. No refugees return to La République du Cameroon. All what you saw was staged. The people you saw there were francophones returning back to their country. And of course, 2 refugees, 1 success in Congo and Nambere. I will bring you that story, and I will bring you a witness who will tell you exactly what transpired. I will take that after the presentation, and if time be, I will take a few questions, especially from ground zero. Please stay tuned for a commercial break. Don't touch your remote. I am going to be right back with the presentation after this.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay.
Start a new career as a Linux system administrator with an average salary of $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Dynamic Tech Academy has transformed many lives for the better through our 6-month Linux program. We are so excited to announce that we are adding DevOps course and Red Hat certification at no charge, which will make students more competitive. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet vast majority of alumni land jobs in 3 to 6 months after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student employment, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will provide resume building, interview preparation, and job placement assistance. With the Linux course, you get more than 300 hours of in-depth training, and you get to learn from experienced instructors. By the end of the program, our students can be Red Hat certified if they choose. Our alumni work in companies, both government and private companies in the USA, Canada, and even Europe. Want to learn more about the program? You can contact us at info@dynamicdmv.com, or you can call us at 240-604-9505, or you can call us at 240-423-7865. And you can also visit us at www.dynamictechdmv.com. If you are interested in online classes, please register on our website. That's once again www.dynamictechdmv.com.
Now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for staying tuned. At this moment, I am going to bring you the presentation proper. And again, it is always, very always a privilege for me to bring to you the update in a revolution. A lot of things have taken place recently, and I wish to come to you with very important update. And I want to believe that by the end of the day, I'll be able to take some questions from you. By the end of the day, I'll be able to take some questions from you, especially those of you joining in from ground zero, fellow Ambazonians. On December 31, 2019, the old dictator of Cameroon, Paul Biya, went through the ritual of a speech to his nation. The entire speech does not concern Ambazonians, of course, only those parts that touch on our nation and its relation with La République du Cameroun matter to us. Those who listen to Mr. Biya's speech without any ability to see through his denial and deceit may be tempted to consider him a benevolent leader, a democrat, because he gives beautiful lectures on democracy and participation. However, when you understand the issues he is talking about and know the context, and in particular, the fact that as the president of Cameroon, he is the sole person who can implement his own lectures, only then would you realize the great deceit in which the dictator is living. He says one thing and does exactly the opposite. As a dictator for 38 years, he is used to monologues, to dictating and impositions, to dictating to impositions. He does nothing. He never does what he says. There is no court so far in which the truth of his claims can be proven or disproven. Paul Biya is at leisure to say whatever he likes. After all, where can ye be disproven? Let us look at a few points from Mr. Bia's speech. Number one, he describes the Ambazonian resistance, our resistance, as criminal activities. Number two, he claims that Ambazonian youths fighting against the illegal occupation of their country by Cameroon do so because they have been brainwashed. Number three, he continues to give his full support and encouragement to his terrorist soldiers to continue the genocide. Number four, Paul Biya denies United Nations agencies' well-documented atrocities of his military and calls them atrocities of armed gangs. Number five, he calls his latest assimilation bill a bill on bilingualism and multiculturalism, and hails it as allowing the equal use of French and English in public institutions. Number five, Paul Biya says, and I quote, "Needless to record that the sole arbiter in a democracy is the sovereign people. When the sovereign people make a choice through free and fair elections and the results are proclaimed after review of petitions, such results must be recognized and accepted by all." End of quote. But when the same people rise up and say they want back their freedoms and country, he declares war on them. Number seven, Paul Biya reminds his listeners that he once said, and I quote, "Let's talk, let's not fight, end of quote. Such is the behavior of the citizens of a democratic country, he said. He also says one must respect one's fatherland, its institutions, and those who embody them. Fellow Ambazonians, what we gather from Bia's speech is that he is not ready for a peaceful settlement of the conflict between Cameroon and Ambazonia. He still believes in violence and war as a solution to this conflict. Now, this is what is fundamentally wrong in Paul Bia's speech. Number one, Paul Biya in his arrogance continues to ignore and evade the root causes of the Ambazonian conflict, which are the illegal occupation, the illegal annexation, and the illegal colonization of Ambazonia by La République du Cameroun. So he speaks as if the problem which sparked the war has been resolved, or is no problem at all. This is the delusion of all colonial masters. As armed robbers, they believe only in might and not reason. Here is a man who has stolen every election he claims to have won. Here is a man who has so far refused to sit down on a negotiating table. Here is the same man who can call a ceasefire today and the war will be over. Here is the same man who declared a genocidal war, an unjust and completely meaningless war on the people of Ambazonia, talking of peace. When, ladies and gentlemen, did Paul Biya ever accept dialogue? The Banjul ruling called for dialogue, which Paul Biya rejected. Led Kofi Annan called for dialogue. The international community is today calling for dialogue without preconditions, which so far Paul Biya has rejected. Paul Biya has prevented every opportunity for the British Southern Cameroon side of the story to be heard, or has avoided such opportunities. When did he accept to sit down and talk and not fight? The whole world has called on him to accept the Swiss mediation and join the talks so that the conflict pitching his country against Ambazonia could be peacefully resolved. Yet, so far, he has resisted. How can Biya be lecturing people about talking and not fighting when he has rejected every opportunity to sit down and talk? Surely, Biya has a very different idea of talking than that of the two parties in a conflict sitting around the table. Biya deceived his people that Ambazonian resistance fighters have been brainwashed, ladies and gentlemen. But how do we brainwash a person if not by feeding him lies? Biya's fraudulent claims on the southern Cameroons is all based on lies, falsehood, and deceit. During the so-called 50th anniversary of his illegal occupation of the southern Cameroons, the experts assembled by Paul Biya himself told him that there is no legal bond between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroun. The Republic of Cameroon has been challenged time without number to produce the instruments of international law, giving it its pretended jurisdiction to the territory of the southern Cameroons. The fake referendum of 1961 and the fraudulent 1972 referendum have been challenged. Biya has failed to produce the smallest evidence to support his occupation of the southern Cameroons. But he is the first to talk of brainwashing. He has turned his soldiers into murderers and assassins, all through his falsehood and deceit. It is now clear, ladies and gentlemen, that unless there is a court to compel Paul Biya to produce his claimed title to the British Southern Cameroons, Biya would continue to live in delusion. Biya believes that in the absence of a court, he has the monopoly of brainwashing his citizens, and that the Southern Cameroons is a part of his country. Thank goodness that no matter how many times he repeats the lie, that the reputation would never turn a lie into a truth. Number one, he talks of equal use of French and English in public institutions. Mr. Biya hails his assimilation law, which he claims allow equal use of the French and English language in public institutions. It is a fact that Cameroon, La République du Cameroun, is not the only bilingual country in the world, ladies and gentlemen. But strangely, no other bilingual country practices Cameroon's fraudulent bilingualism. It is an act of fraud to say that two languages can be equal, where 4/5 of the Republic of public servants use only one of the languages and only 1/4 use the other. This is just a mechanism to impose the language of the majority on the minority. In other bilingual countries, for example, the only way to ensure bilingualism is to make the minority language the official language within its own part of the country. This is what we find in Quebec. It is what we find in Switzerland and in Belgium. You cannot directly or indirectly impose the language of the minority of the majority on the minority and still speak of bilingualism. Cameroon's so-called bilingualism is a move to make French the only language in public institutions. These acts of fraud, masterminded by dictator Paul Biya, are part of the disagreements between the two peoples. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Ambazonia totally agree with Paul Biya that, and I quote, "One must respect one's fatherland, its institutions, and those who embody them," end of quote. But again, in his blindness, Paul Biya believes that he can impose those of his country, La République du Cameroun, on the people of the British Southern Cameroons. It is precisely because we respect our fatherland, the British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, that we fight for it and resist the armed robbery of La République du Cameroun. We are not Cameroonians. We are Ambazonians. For 58 years, ladies and gentlemen, La République du Cameroun has been trying to surreptitiously transfer our allegiance from our own country, Ambazonia, to French Cameroon. But the 2 cubes of sugar will never dissolve. We were forced into this predicament, into this war. Paul Biya says the sole arbiter in a democracy is the sovereign people, end of quote. Indeed, the question is not whether in a democracy the people are sovereign. That one is granted. The question is whether Biya is willing to respect the will of the people of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. How many elections has Biya stolen? How many times has he or his agents appropriated the will of the people? Should the conflict between the people of the British Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia be decided by a United Nations organized referendum? Perhaps this is the only way to test Mr. Biya's belief in the will of the people. Why would Biya, knowing fully well that the people are sovereign, declare war instead of putting the question that separates the people of the Southern Cameroon to a vote? It is now very evident that Mr. Biya is living in a world of delusion. He is living in that world where, without the opportunity for the other side to be heard, he can say anything and do anything, anything. He has ignored the thousands of letters sent to him over the decades on the conflict in the Cameroons. He is now ignoring the call of the international community for him to accept dialogue under the Swiss mediation. He rejected the Banjul Commission's call for dialogue, and yet is able to say he believes in talks and not fighting. Why can Paul Biya not call off this war? Why can he not declare a ceasefire as proof of his willingness to talk? For him, to talk means imposing his opinion on the people of Ambazonia. If Mr. Biya thinks that he can brainwash Ambazonians with empty speeches, while continuing his armed robbery against the people of Ambazonia, then he is mistaken. Based on his own lectures, ladies and gentlemen, let him accept the Swiss mediation where the both sides can sit down and talk and not fight. Let him accept, let Mr. Biya accept a referral of the conflict to to the International Court of Justice, where you will have a golden opportunity to prove the people of Ambazonia wrong and own their territory. Let him call off this war. Let him declare ceasefire. The conflict is only between two parties, the British Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon. The people of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, we continue to hold forth the olive branch for dialogue and a peaceful settlement of this conflict. But we will never, ladies and gentlemen, we will never surrender our fatherland to the armed robbery of La République du Cameroun. In the backdrop of all of this, in the backdrop of these delusional intransigence of Mr. Biya, the people of the Southern Cameroons, led by the resolve of this interim government, will continue unperturbed to embark on arrangement that facilitates the way for the actualization of our independence. We are bent on pursuing this route because the world can bear witness to us that throughout the duration of this senseless and genocidal war, we are the only party that has embraced any genuine dialogue initiative. Mr. Biya, as re-echoed in his New Year's address, believes that only violence, only the barrel of the gun and the calculated assassinations of our people can bring the conflict to an end. We must refuse to allow that to happen. We must deny Mr. Biya killing his way to keeping Ambazonians his slaves with a special status in their country. That means going forward in this new year, ladies and gentlemen, we are left with no option. We are left with no alternative but to build up such an impenetrable resistance that they are yet to see. That means going forward, as long as the occupation and the butcheries last, and for as long as they evade a negotiated settlement, we shall never allow La République du Cameroun the monopoly of violence and subversion of our lives. They kill our thousands. We will not blink, not until we have killed their tens of thousands. That is the standard going forward from this new year. From Fako to Inkambe, and from the hills of Libialem to the plains of Ngoketunjia, the interim government is erecting guerrillas, defenders of our people and their freedoms, militias equipped enough to match the military might of La République du Cameroun, and their invasion, their occupation, and aggression in our territory. You heard our president, Dr. Samuel Ekomesako, talked about the Federal Marshall Project. The program is in the early stage of implementation. We have recruited and trained military squads in all of our 13 counties. They are well equipped and capable of executing missions in short notice with military dexterity and precision. Don't expect to have them visiting you anyways in uniforms. Ladies and gentlemen, the time we depended on ground one, where we lost men, money, and material is gone. Within the short 2 years of this war, we have witnessed the ingenuity in Ambazonia's youth in display. Our forces are inventing local technology that is beginning to meet our demands for industrial artillery. thanks to the counties and the local government areas, the technology is being duplicated across all of Ambazonia. In a few months, if not weeks to come, that is, should La République du Cameroon not meet us on a negotiation table, Ambazonians should be rest assured that there is not yet an army in all of Africa that will come into our territory and vanquish the Ambazonian army in their own territory. The era of then guns is making way to a new era of weapons of mass destruction for Ambazonians. Be it in the valleys, on the hills, on the plains, Ambazonia is ready and more than ever before resolute to fight till the end. Just as President Sarko stated, we do not have two options, ladies and gentlemen, for the outcome of this war. The only option before us is victory. Surrender is not an option. Failure is not a choice. Federalism isn't an option either. A free and an independent Southern Cameroon with its original boundaries and headquarters in Boya is the only option, the only agenda on the table of this interim government. Just think of this for a second. What shall we tell Mami Api if we fail? What shall we tell Baby Mata if we lost this war? What shall we tell all those heroes, young men and women who have paid the ultimate price with their lives if we lost? Remember General Ivor? Remember General Amigo? How about General Festus? How about General Biabia? Remember the Pinyin massacres? How about the Bali and the Batibo assassinations? What shall we tell them if we should settle for anything less than what they gave their lives for, less than a free and independent Ambazonia? This is indeed a dying moment, a dying moment. That moment, ladies and gentlemen, that we spare nothing that quickens La République du Cameroon packing out of our territory for good. The fragility of this movement, of this moment, calls for extra disciplinary measures within the ranks of our defense forces, but most especially for camps that continue to operate independently on ground zero. For a very long time, the interim government allowed these camps or these groups the opportunity to coexist collaboratively with other restoration fighters. But because they are sponsored by people in the diaspora whose main goal is to do their own thing, they have in many instances turned to collaborate with La République du Cameroun, our enemy, than with fellow restoration forces. Besides, they are behind some of the kidnapping for ransoms that goes on ground zero. The interim government will no longer be in the habit of encouraging warlordism and factionalism. The interim government will no longer be equipping or supplying or recognizing such factions that refuse to fall under the chain of county and local government leadership. The interim government has the LGAs, the counties, and the security councils as the chain of command for all ground forces. One of the prime responsibilities of these structures is to identify and to work with all the forces in the county to make sure their needs are met. But going forward, without aligning your camp or your group with the interim government's chain of command from the LGA level, the interim government cannot be responsible for your demands. We are therefore appealing to all generals, all commanders, and all camps that must come to the interim government for support or who want the interim government to support them to consider aligning with their LGAs, local government areas, leadership or their counties. The LGAs, once they have recognized you, will then channel you to the National Self-Defense Council and the Defense Department. The practice where fighters pay allegiance to people behind bars and to the highest bidders in the diaspora, but then turn around and expect the interim government to support them when in need, shall cease to exist. The interim government, with its county structures, is ready and wants to support every genuine force on ground zero. But they, ladies and gentlemen, must all show accountability. For accountability purposes, they must fall under these chains of command. In this same light, the interim government disassociates itself from the group so-called Ground Zero Defense Council and the AMF. They are clandestine syndicates led by individuals behind bars and faceless orders in the diaspora, with the main goal of destabilizing Ground Zero and the progress of the revolution. They join Atanganji boys to harass, to kidnap for ransom, and subject innocent people on Ground Zero to unnecessary pain and suffering. We will no longer tolerate that. These groups are known to show up only when there are major events that have to be confronted. Take, for instance, the case of the No Mercy lockdown and the upcoming elections lockdown. Very often, they are out to cause confusion and division using threats and divisive language. They make use of irrelevant, tribal, and rejected activists with an agenda that appears more sympathetic to La République du Cameroun than to a free Ambazonia to promote their subversive activities. Fellow Ambazonians, do not see this as an attempt by any means by the interim government to undermine or dismiss other groups. It is not the case. It is a security and safety measure. Consider it very, very important. We should collectively no longer allow rooks to rain torture, abductions, theft, and ransom taking on our suffering people on Ground Zero. And do not be mistaken. We are not asking the men or these groups to lay down their arms. Absolutely not. This is not a call for disarmament. We want them to join the legitimate restoration forces in their communities, in their LGAs and counties where there is a level of accountability that ensures community safety. Let me also announce to the advocates mongering for troops collaboration that it is not going to happen, not until such groups seeking collaboration have a recognizable chain of command and a track record of military discipline. We realize that most of the calls for collaboration are not necessarily geared towards genuine spirit of collaboration, but by the drive to access the camps of most true restoration forces, and with the ambition to acquire their latest technology so they can level up with them and then run away. It is the kind of collaboration we have witnessed in which they sell out our camps to the enemy and then retreat for the enemy to kill our forces. You never see where they fight, except perhaps on the social media. They Photoshop images. They Photoshop their own battles. They claim battles they have never been to. They adore generals on social media. and commanders waving AKs on the social media who have never been to battle. Why real battles go on, they stay home to claim every victory. They hope to be the last army standing. That's all that matters to them. This is not the kind of collaboration, ladies and gentlemen, we want. And we will continue to do everything going forward to expose such groups. We will call them by their names. Having made this point, it is important to note here that our goal isn't just about prosecuting this war through the military front alone. The economic front, as you already know, is a big part of the interim government's approach. Why we continue to make sure that companies like the CDC, Pamol, Sonara, Supermon, timber and rubber explorations, among other big business, remain grounded in Ambazonia. We will up the game, our game, to ensure that every source of revenue leaving our territory for La République du Cameroon is permanently incapacitated. We will systematically strip them of the revenue they make from our territory and use in purchasing arms that kill our families. Everyone on ground zero should be ready to play his or her own role here. For example, when we put companies like Brasseries, Amazon and others in the spotlight and ask that you avoid doing business with them or that you avoid patronizing them, you violate it at your own risk. Passengers still using Amazon and beer parlors off and on licenses, still selling Brasserie products, you shall have yourselves to blame when you become the victims. Any beer parlor caught still trading in Brasserie's products shall be completely shut down and the owners considered enablers for the enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we mean by stripping Ambazonia of everything Camerounese. The English language shall remain the only official language used in all public institutions in all of Ambazonia. French language, the colonial language, should not be heard or used as a working language in any public place in Ambazonia. All French language signs in public and private facilities must be replaced with signs written only in English. The colonial flag, the green, red, yellow flag, is forbidden to be erected anywhere in Ambazonia going forward, and office premises erecting them shall be considered enemies of Ambazonian War of Independence, and they shall be levied with hefty fines. Managers, directors, supervisors, heads of services shall be directly held responsible for any violation of these regulations in their respective establishments. The colonial flag shall be replaced with Ambazonian national colors, the blue and white flag. Colonial administrators, including colonial magistrates and judges practicing anywhere in our territory, will remain classified as infiltrators and enablers carrying out clandestine services in Ambazonia. They are no longer needed in our territory, and failure to leave, as previously ordered, attracts the wrath of the restoration forces. LACAM offices and LACAM staff and all activities have been banned in all of Ambazonia. Violators identified will be taken out. Also, the National Football League of French Cameroon is formally banned in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Today, Ambazonian teams such as Young Sport Academy are called upon to immediately withdraw all participation in French Cameroon organized football competitions. Violators of these rules shall be severely punished with fines including confiscation of property. Inter-county football leagues are welcome, and football promoters should seize upon this opportunity to start considering an Amber Football League. Fellow Ambazonians, let me now turn your attention to the recent events which are still so much in the news and which may have left many of you perhaps worried, fatigued, and discouraged. Last week, Yaoundé State managed one of those dramas so characteristic of it in the history of this conflict. Using a few hungry ones among us, men who have once banded with us, men who sang our anthem with us and carried our flag with us, men who once torn apart their La République du Cameroon passport, men who once pursued and killed La République du Cameroon genocidal soldiers, men who sat at the Fort Conclave and participated in the creation of this interim government, men who love money over freedom, men who prefer temporal acquisition to permanent virtuous values. They coerce them with a handful of faked refugees to return to the colonial capital Yaoundé. We ask you to not be deceived. Do not buy into the charade. It was a drama plotted to contaminate your mind and to provoke bitterness and cynicism. What you saw, ladies and gentlemen, at that airport in Yaoundé were lastly not refugees. The only refugees you saw in that airport TV show with ministers, directors line up, police and gendarme commissioners line up, shaking their hands, were success in Congo. And another gentleman who goes by the name of General Nambere and a few others. The majority of the faces you saw, we have now found out were Francophones with residence in Benin Republic and Lagos, Nigeria, who were paid to have a free trip, a free holiday trip home. After this presentation, I'm going to have a witness who knows some of these people to tell you exactly what happened. But for now, let me pose these rhetorical questions to you to buttress the point. Most of our refugees residing in the east and south of Nigeria are from Manu. They came from communities like Ekok, Eyumoja, Bisongoban, Akwaya, Manfe, and the rest. Now think about this. Which one is shorter and easier? To move a refugee by road to say Manfe, or to fly same to Yaoundé, where they still have to drive hundreds of kilometers to Manu? The point I make, the point I want you to understand is that those people you saw in the airport TV show were not Amber refugees, ladies and gentlemen. If indeed they were our refugees, wisdom entails that they take them straight to Manu or Manfe, where they have homes and families, not to Yaoundé. How do you convince anyone that you take a refugee who in normal circumstances should be crossing from Ekom or from Calabar, Akwa Ibom, Port Harcourt to Manfe, all the way to Abuja and then to Yaoundé, where he has no home and has no family. Does that make sense? Fellow Ambazonians, this refugee thing is not something that should keep any one of you troubled at all. We have been we have seen these kinds of performances, stage managed events before. In fact, La République du Cameroon survives on stage managing incidents like this one. But sorry, so far, none of them have had any impact on the struggle, on the revolution. It has never worked. They abducted Sisiko, Tassang Wilfred, Pa Info Ngalamfo, and many others, and hope that the struggle grinds to a quick end. Did that happen? They have killed our families in their thousands, burying some in mass graves and hoping that we get discouraged and surrender. Has that happened? They have burned down our homes and villages, hoping that we lay down our arms. Has that too happened? They have over 5,000 of our people, our family members in prisons all over their territory. Their testimonies of torture, no one can stand the sight of it. Has that too caused us to give up yet? They thought they could placate us with their so-called bilingualism and multiculturalism commission so that the weak ones see it as a concession from them. Did that stop the war? Did that stop us from fighting? The state managed a so-called Grand National Dialogue, ended it with a special status, hoping that the majority of us buy into the idea and give up on the struggle. Did that work? None of these ploys have worked, ladies and gentlemen. None has worked. If they can abduct, arrest, torture, maim, and massacre thousands of our people, and we remain standing, we maintain our resilience, we maintain our courage and determination. Tell me, is it a return of a few naive self-centered refugees that should cause us to have sleepless nights and thinking of giving up on a just cause? This refugee thing too, ladies and gentlemen, like these other past schemes, will fail. Again, it will fail. Indeed, it has already failed. The capitulation of two inconsequential characters, whom we always knew were waiting for the highest bidder, cannot dent our steadfastness for a free Ambazonia, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget, this revolution isn't meant for everybody. How you started it doesn't really matter. What matters is how and where, on which side you earn it. Let me warn you to buckle your seatbelts before it's daybreak. Before this thing runs to an end, we are still going to see some falling away, like in the order of the men under scrutiny. Watch out for some of these activists who started so well. Watch out for the duo who were once leaders of this struggle. Watch out for some of those you call frontline leaders. Watch their actions and listen to the language some are beginning to adopt. And do not be surprised when you wake up the next morning to find them carrying the French Cameroon flag and singing the French Cameroon anthem. Just keep your cool and remain brave. Fellow Ambazonians, one thing to be comforted about is that members of your interim government remain intact. They stand strong, steadfast, none of these enablers are members of your interim government. You can trust that even if all the activists turn their backs on the cause, this interim government shall remain defiant, consistent, and uncompromising. Consider what you see happening as a purging of the mechanism that leads us to Boya. God is sifting the chaff from the wheat. He is trying the so-called leaders. And like in the case of the people, the children of Israel, not everyone called a leader is arriving Boya with a train. The hand of God is in this falling away. Those who remain standing are the ones taking you to Boya. Let's not be worried at all. Be not dismayed. Our struggle and sacrifices shall never go in vain. Our independence is sure. The state of the revolution remains very, very, very strong, solid. Let me add, ladies and gentlemen, that we should not be ignorant here. Anyone else in the order of success and number have the right to walk away from the struggle if they so choose. In fact, it is not a crime to do so. However, while we do not consider it a crime, we believe that it is a crime when they embark on paid or sponsored missions that aim at putting the lives of our people in danger. The interim government therefore passionately warns the triple alliance of Mr. Nkongo, Nambere, and Eli Smith to stay far, very, very far from any Ambazonian soldier, Ambazonian refugees, and IDP settlements. The interim government is closely monitoring your activities and your movements. And should you think that you can defy these injunctions, thinking perhaps that you are invincible, may I remind you that there was once one Patrick Ekema who thought he was invincible too. Please, enjoy your temporal freedom quietly and allow those with a conviction to continue the fight for a free Ambazonia to carry it on. Eli Smith is particularly banned from setting foot on Ambazonian territory while this struggle lasts. He is one agent. Eli Smith is one agent, a La République du Cameroon enabler, who is responsible for some of the grievous betrayals and double dealings we have witnessed in this struggle. Eli Smith works as a spy for La République du Cameroon. He is the one behind the refugees saga. He is the one being sent to track down our soldiers for abduction. In fact, Eli Smith was recently given a contract from their Prime Minister's office to monitor and to track down, using software, the phone numbers and locations of our major commanders and generals. Eli Smith should be told he is not considered Ambazonian, and we shall not hesitate to put a bounty on his head should he continue to track down our restoration forces for abduction and murder. Mr. Smith is warned. You shall have nowhere to hide, sir, not even in Douala, nor in Yaoundé. You shall be hunted like the mule that you are. And ladies and gentlemen, so shall it also be with every enabler, no exception. We don't care whether you are in jail or out of jail in this struggle, be they in Kondenge or out of Kondenge. We shall not afford any enabler a breathing space at this moment. We shall hunt them, name them, and shame them. We shall never again allow few egoistic, tribal, misguided, out of touch power mongering groups and individuals any more chance, any more opportunity to be a distraction or continue to act as saboteurs to this struggle that many people have paid for with their own blood. There shall be no more room for collaboration and unity with anyone or group without genuine remorse. One more thing, fellow Ambazonians, before I end this presentation. We should never forget why we fight this war. We constantly need to remind ourselves why we fight and why our people have died in the 3 years and counting. Though destiny determined that this war was bound to be, we fight it by force, not by choice. We fight by choice. We fight by force because the Republic of Cameroon had the choice and the capability to avert the war by simply giving a listening ear to our grievances of 57 years. 57 years. They choose not to. We do not fight this war because of marginalization. We do not fight because of underdevelopment in our part of the Cameroons. We do not fight, ladies and gentlemen, because we happen to be a minority in the Cameroons. No. We fight this war because injustice was done to us. We fight this war because we became slaves and second-class citizens in our own land of birth. We fight this war because the United Nations has not been fair to all of us. They need to restore our freedom and our dignity as voted in 1961 in UN Resolution 1608. How do you imagine that our neighbor, Equatorial Guinea, has less than 1 million people for a population, and they are a country on their own, and we are 8 million of us, and we have no country? How do you imagine that only 3 weeks ago, Bougainville, a small autonomous region of Papua New Guinea with less than 300,000 people, were allowed a referendum and independence, and we are 8 million of us, and we have no country? If this is not injustice, tell me exactly what it is. We are being told all we need is some special status. How special are these other people who want to give us a special status? Are they any better than us? Are they any better than us? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a just cause, and we must fight to the finish line. We are looking forward to our own country in which never again shall our people be harassed and tortured. We are looking for our own country in which our children and grandchildren sit in the classroom and are taught in the language they understand. We are fighting for a country in which education is free for our people, our children. We are fighting for a country in which citizens have the freedom to express themselves without fear of being picked up by the gendarmes. We are looking for a country in which citizens are treated equally, not based on the language they know. We are fighting for a country in which the legal system doesn't condemn you or hold you guilty or lock you up before trial. We are fighting for a country in which everyone has access to free hospitals. We are fighting for a country in which the people govern themselves, pay taxes to their own local governments for their own local development. We are fighting for a country in which people can move freely move freely without the nightmare of being arrested just because they are from a certain part of the country. We are fighting for a country, ladies and gentlemen, in which we have the right to our natural resources. We want to build our own colleges. We want to build our own universities. We want to build our own hospitals, our own roads, electricity and communications. We fight for a country in which no one goes abroad just to look for a better living. We all want to go back home. And this mission is worth dying for. Yes, it is worth dying for. That is why we want La République du Cameroun. If they think they're gonna rush through this war on their own terms by killing our people and burning our settlements, they are mistaken too. We will resist. We will resist to the last man standing. There can be no other way around this. My appeal to you, fellow Ambazonians, today is that we should collectively refuse to be cowards. Let us rise up like one man and locate our LGAs in counties and support these boys who are in the front lines fighting for our freedoms. They haven't asked for any dime or salary. They haven't even asked you for food. They have no homes and no bed like all of us to sleep in. What excuse would you want to give for not supporting them? Please, let's pay for this war. Enroll and start paying your CID dues. Without it, this journey will take us longer than anticipated. If we cannot help ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, if we cannot help ourselves, God isn't going to help us. And that is the message, the presentation I had for you today. I want you to stay put because I'm right now going to bring to you somebody who has insight to what happened in Nigeria and Benin Republic with the refugees before they brought the so-called refugees into La République du Cameroun. I am going to take a short commercial break, and when I come back, I will come back with my guest. Please don't touch your remote.
Start a new career as a Linux system administrator with an average salary of $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Dynamic Tech Academy has transformed many lives for the better through our 6-month Linux program. We are so excited to announce that we are adding DevOps course and Red Hat certification at no charge, which will make students more competitive. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet vast majority of alumni land jobs in 3 to 6 months after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student employment, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will provide resume building, interview preparation, and job placement assistance. With the Linux course, you get more than 300 hours of in-depth training, and you get to learn from experienced instructors. By the end of the program, our students can be Red Hat certified if they choose. Our alumni work in companies, both government and private companies in the USA, Canada, and even Europe. Want to learn more about the program? You can contact us at info@dynamicdmv.com, or you can call us at 240-604-9505, or you can call us at 240-423-7865. And you can also visit us at www.dynamictechdmv.com. If you are interested in online classes, please register on our website. That's once again www.dynamictechdmv.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to believe that presentation made some sense to you, and I hope we are all inspired by that. Now, as I promised, I would like to bring to you somebody whose identity I am not going to disclose to you for security reasons. The person I bring to you today, whose face you will also not see for security reasons, he has good insight, very, very good insight into what happened leading to the so-called refugees, of course, Success in Congo and Nambere being moved to La République du Cameroon. And so I'd like you to stay put. After this short interview with him, I will open the phone lines, and if you have any question, especially for those of you on ground zero, I'd like to take your questions. So after this brief interview, I will open the phone lines. So if you have a comment or a question, you can go ahead and ask. Now I bring you my guest. Hello, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time, Secretary Chris. Thank you for having me here, Secretary Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate your coming on board, sir. Now, again, I don't need to reveal your identity. We have spoken. I know who you are, and you have a very, very good insight into what happened leading to these so-called refugees going to Yaoundé. Now, you have said that you know quite a number, a handful of those refugees. Tell us, how did you get to knowing them?
First, I'm famous Secretary Chris. I am a resident of Benin Republic. That is, I am personally resident in the Republic of Benin in Cotonou.
Okay.
And so I happen to have met this same Success when he fled from Abuja after the arrest of Ayok Tabejulos. And at that time, I still had confidence with the so-called Eric Tato, and I'm the one who sent him the photos of this young man in Cotonou. So
the photos of which young man in Congo?
Of Success in Congo, the scammer, Success in Congo.
Okay.
Yes, and it was published at that time that Success in Congo was in Cotonou. I'm the one who did that job personally.
Well, hold on. You said you sent the photos of Success in Congo to Tato. What were they about?
The photo was about something because at that time, after he sold the leaders in Abuja, he ran to Cotonou and was doing some businesses in Cotonou. And I called him. He was in hiding, and he came to a place where I saw him and I recognized him. Immediately, he discovered that somebody recognized him. He ran away from that. I'm sure he knows me very well. He knows me very well. He ran away from Cotonou at that time.
Precisely what business was he doing in Cotonou?
He came for his normal mission. You know, he has his mission that he's been sent by the Republic government. He has been working with the Republic government for a very long time, not just now. He was sent to come and track some of us that were very open to this struggle and were residing in Benin. That was his mission. Okay.
So when he discovered you, he ran away?
He disappeared. Because that same day when I sent the message to Eric, I think made a post about Success spotted in Cotonou. And after that, he disappeared.
So tell me, or tell us about these refugees that you said. You told me that you can recognize quite a number of them in that airport drama because you know them by their names.
For sure, 100% sure. You know, in Benin Republic, we have a certain place we call QG, that is Quartier General, where La Republique, before the struggle, La Republique and Ambazonians meet like a bar. And so most of these struggling people who are trying to travel through the desert, that's their stopping point. When their money gets finished, that's where they stop. And maybe at times we pass there, help them, assist them. So there's a girl that is carrying a baby. She's called Paul. She's 100% La Republique from Banjul. There's another guy there also. In short, all of them, they are La Republique people that have been in Cotonou for more than 67 years. The one that don't have transport. That girl gave birth to a child and did not have transport to go back. So went and carry them. She's called Paul. I'm trying to get to her Facebook, and I think I'll forward it to you. I'm trying to get her Facebook information, and if possible, her personal number. I'm trying to get that. I'm talking with Cotonou. I'm trying to get her personal number. I will send it to you so you have all the proofs with their Facebook page.
Wow.
She gave birth to that child in Cotonou, and she came as an Ambazonian. There's another guy there that was sleeping at Saint Michel. We call that place Saint Michel in Cotonou.
That's a francophone.
Francophones. All of them are francophones. I think there's only one Anglophone there. One Anglophone is among them, and it's not even a refugee. He's not a refugee. It's not even a refugee because, Mr. Secretary, let me be clear to you. Southern Cameroonians in Benin have an association being led by one Mr. Johnson Paddy.
Okay.
Whereby Mr. We call him Nijon. Okay. We have an association of Southern Cameroonians in Benin that has been existing before the struggle for about 7 years. So all Southern Cameroonians that arrive Benin, firstly they go to that association, we register them and we take care of them. No Southern Cameroonian was repatriated. If one, and that guy was not even a refugee, was sent back by Southern Congo. All those people are francophones. I know them personally. Not that I'm suggesting. The girl with the baby's light in complexion is called Paul.
Okay.
The other small guy, I don't know his name, but I know all of them personally. They are francophones. I will be sending their Facebook. I'm doing an investigation to get their Facebook pages so that we get their real names. I will send it to you for you to put it on ABC TV.
So what you are saying is that you could identify most of those faces at the airport drama in Yaoundé as from Benin Republic.
Secretary Chris, this is the biggest scam I've ever seen in my life. I say a very, 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 very big scam. It's a scam. Southern Congo is a big thief. I mean a thief, not only a scam, it's a thief. All those people are francophones. Not if they are anglophone, I can understand with you that maybe I say they are francophones, not anglophones.
Now, if I may ask you, if they are francophones and that plane was leaving Abuja, how did they get inside the plane, though?
Mr. Secretary Chris, you yourself, you know, Southern Congo is one of the biggest scammers and a documentary person doing fake documents to people. So they know how they did. They know what they did. He went there at night because when I heard this, I called the Southern Cameroon president, the person who is like the Southern Cameroon president in Benin. I asked him, but how? They said he came at night and did all these things. The people only heard when they saw these guys on television. Then that's when Cotonou heard the news only when they saw them on television coming out as refugees. That's what surprised everybody in Cotonou. That's the problem.
So is it possible they took a bus to Abuja or the plane diverted to Cotonou and picked them before proceeding to Yaoundé?
What I know is that they left Cotonou for Abuja. That's what I know for now. Yes, they left Cotonou for Abuja. It's Cotonou to Abuja. It's just Cotonou. You take Cotonou by road to Lagos to Abuja. They don't have transport. I'm sure maybe Success brought the bus to carry them. Or with the embassy, with assistance of the Cameroon embassy, because you know the Nigerian border is closed for a very long while now. So I'm sure with assistance of the Cameroon consulate there, with Success and the government, you know, everything is possible.
Right.
But I am telling you, and I insist on this, I know these people. It's not something I'm thinking of. I know all of them. I will tell you their Facebook pages because I really want La Republic to know with whom they are also dealing with. Success is the biggest scammer and criminal on this earth. I am James Harrison. Let me put it clear. I'm James Harrison. I know he will see. He will hear my voice. You know, he knows me very well. He knows me very well. He knows what I'm talking about. He's a thief.
So now you made the allegation that he is the one who sold our leaders the Naira 10. What do you know about it? I'm hearing that from you for now. What do you know about it?
Secretary Chris, you don't need to know more about it. From what is happening now, you know these things. I said these things some years ago when this happened. I said it. I put it clear on my Facebook post, on my Facebook page, James Harrison. I was very clear with this that Sources Congo knows something about.
Hold on. You are James Harrison?
Yes.
You are James Harrison?
Yes, I'm James Harrison.
I see you on my Facebook page all the time. I mean, I think you watch me all the time.
Yes.
This is interesting. You didn't tell me that before.
Yes, I didn't tell you that, but I'm making it clear so that some listeners should also understand what I'm saying. That's why I'm making it clear. I'm James Harrison. I'm making it clear because I want listeners to really understand what I'm saying. A person like Kemi will know I gave her certain information at certain times. I've been giving information out that I don't want my face to be there out. But Success knows my face, but he does not have my face. He knows my face personally. Yes. He knows who is talking.
So tell me again, what do you know about his involvement in the betrayal of our leaders in Abuja?
Secretary, that's not a question because you can just imagine what's happening now. Where is he now? He's in Yaoundé. He just made it clear what I have been saying some years ago. He just made it clear that some of us were not lying. You don't need to ask any question. You don't need to ask for any proof. He just proved us right. Where he is, he's in Yaoundé.
So do you think these so-called refugees that left Benin Republic for Cameroon, you think they are coming back? They just went there for holiday or what?
No, Secretary Chris, that's a very good question. These are people that have been stranded on what we call the front. They have been stranded and had no money to go back home.
But again, they are not Ambazonians.
No. None of them, except one who is an Ambazonian. And who is not even a refugee. He was just stranded, he was blocked, no money to go ahead. Because what happens most of the time when they're going through to go to Europe through Morocco and they become stranded in Cotonou, maybe lack of money, or so they become stranded and Cotonou no job. So those are the people that Success went and carried. I'm telling you, I know them personally. They are francophones. If you like, you call Cotonou. I don't know if you like. I don't know who you can call from Cotonou and verify. I can give you the number of the president of Southern Cameroonians in Cotonou. You can call them and verify. Those are francophones, are not Ambazonia. Those are La Republic people that were. They know what's happening. You can even hear from the video they were speaking but French.
Right.
You can even see the policeman that was looking at Success. He was looking at Success because he knew those people were francophones.
Right.
They are francophones. That girl, the light girl with the baby, is called Paul. I'm trying to get her second name. I will send you all those things with their pictures.
All right.
I will do that. We did before tomorrow midnight. You get all the pictures on their Facebook page. That's what I'm doing now.
All right.
I think that can also help La Republic to arrest Success quickly, because Success needs to be arrested. He's a criminal.
Well, La Republic now knows we have busted them, and our people who were very worried, very, very concerned, know it was all staged, and those were not our refugees. They were francophones having a free ride back to their country. James, I thank you so much. If you have any other thing to let us know before I let you go.
Secretary Chris, I just want to thank you also for bringing me up here. What I would just like to add is we have a very well organized Anglophone Ambazonian community in Benin, in Cotonou, headed by somebody. So if there's anything concerning Ambazonians in Cotonou, there's a president that will have information or pass any. So all that Success did in Cotonou is a scam, or in Nigeria is a scam. There were no Ambazonians among those that arrived in Yaoundé as refugees, and the few refugees that we have in Cotonou are well organized and are doing very, very well. They are not suffering. So Success in Congo is a thief, a scammer, and a big liar.
Okay. Was Nambere ever in Benin Republic?
I've never seen Nambere in Benin Republic. Who I saw in Benin Republic was Success, and immediately I saw him and recognized him. I was planning, and that's my highest regret I had for this struggle till today is not getting rid of this fool, because I had the opportunity to get rid of him. But by the time he discovered where I saw him, when he discovered I knew him, he disappeared. He disappeared. Yes, he disappeared. That was at Saint Michel. He disappeared. Until then, I have not seen him.
Okay. All right, James. Again, thanks very much for showing up. Our people are informed, they are educated as to what went on. I appreciate your journey.
Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you got the message, you got the information. It was all a sham. Let me take the first caller from ground one. Okay, hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Please, can you turn down the volume of your set and focus on the phone, please? Good evening, sir.
Yes, I'm getting you. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm getting you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm getting you. Go on, please. Hello? 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 Well, I can't get your call, sir.
Good evening, sir. I'm calling from one.
All right, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Yes, good evening. I'm calling from Gawan.
Yes, you're calling from ground one. What is the contribution?
Yes. Yeah, my contribution is that I am from ground one. Whatsoever is going on with Dr. Success in Congo, we don't know about it. And so the refugees that were identified, the so-called refugees, were not refugees. So
Okay.
we don't know them.
So,
that's my contribution.
what you are saying is, even as a refugee on ground one, you couldn't identify any of those so-called refugees at the airport in Yaoundé.
Yes, sir, we couldn't identify any of them. None of them were seen as refugees that were together here in Nigeria. So I even spoke with Eric Tato the other time, and in fact, there was some investigation. They struggled to come here to smuggle some of the refugees out of the settlement, but it was not possible. So
Hold on. Who struggled to come there to smuggle refugees?
And that Success in Congo, he came there and he tried to convince some of the refugees, so he could not succeed. When by the time some of us, the boys, discovered and we want to intervene there, so they ran and they left.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for the call. Stay safe. All right. Ground one. Hello. This is a bad connection, a bad network. All right. Let me see who is next. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You are live. So where are you calling from?
From Kumba.
You're calling from Kumba. How was Kumba today? How was Ghost Town today?
The same as we know. He has ever been the same. He has not changed.
Good. What is your contribution?
Yeah, I just want to see the pictures that we are seeing from the Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'm saying that the pictures that we are seeing from Yaoundé, none of them we know them. So all is just a scam.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you should, not all of us Southern Cameroon, we should forget about what is happening in Yaoundé, because we know the government of Yaoundé will go and bribe people and bring them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope Ambazonians are hearing you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right. Let me take this diasporan. Hello, sir.
Good morning, Secretary Chris. Thank you for the hard work you're doing for Ambazonia people. My name is Ochiba Nelson. I'm calling from Los Angeles. I just want to tell all Ambazonia people back home that we have only one option, which is independence. And I want to give this message to the fighters. The fighters, you guys should protect the population. Any fighter who is on ground zero and whose leader doesn't endorse the Swiss talks, understand that that leader is working for La Republique. And if we don't go to the Swiss talks and have this matter solved by the international community, those leaders will come and fool you. And at the end of the day, you shall be the one to pay the price. You see, even Yannick Kawakawa, he is now complaining that he used to have 3 million francs every week when he was fighting. But right now, La Republique gave him only a t-shirt. So it is a call for all Amazonians on ground zero. Everybody should know that we have only one enemy, which is La Republique. We do not have any, IG is not our enemy. Chris Anu is not our enemy. Dr. Sako is not our enemy. Our enemy is La Republique. And for you, the fighters, to be alive, you need to fight and flush La Republique out of Ambazonia. That is the only option. So let no one come and tell you to attack other fighters, to inflict pain on the population, or maybe that you should not go to the Swiss talk. Remember, all those who are against the Swiss talks today, they endorse La Republique National Dialogue, which is coming with a special status. Whose content you don't even know. We have not been like this because of the Swiss talk. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I hope they hear you. I hope they hear you. Let me go to ground zero. I hope this is a good connection. It doesn't look like a good connection. All right. Let me skip that. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you are getting all of that. Those of you who have been so pissed off and so worried about Nambere and this other fellow in Congo, I hope you are hearing that. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. You are live.
Hello.
Yes, please. You are live. Go on.
Hello. Yes, I'm calling on ground one.
Okay. What is your contribution, sir?
I just want to talk about the people success in Congo collected from Nigeria who were not refugees.
The people's success in Congo collected so-called from Nigeria were not refugees. That's what you said.
Not succeed. So all that is making around is just.
All right. Listen, I'm sorry your network is not good. It's breaking. We really can't get you. Maybe next time get to a location with a better network. Okay, let me get to ground zero. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, you are live, sir. Can you turn down the volume of your set, please?
Hello. Okay.
Okay, where are you calling from?
Are you getting me now?
I can hear you. Please get closer to your phone set.
From ground zero.
Get closer to your phone
Yes,
set,
I'm calling
please.
from ground zero.
Okay, what is your contribution?
Yes, I'm calling from. Yes, I just want to say that our people should be very determined and strong.
Okay.
victory is assured. I see some villages are trying to give up, like Balikumban, but it's all manipulation.
Now, what happened in Balikumbat was manipulation. I started this broadcast with that, warning the form of Balikumbat. If what he provoked last week continues, with the people being bribed to rise up against our legitimate restoration forces, we will instruct the Quifonds of Balekumba to dethrone him. That is what we are determined to do if he doesn't back off. Okay?
Absolutely. As for Congo success, we can now officially conclude that it is so from what has happened so far.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. The network is not very good. All right. Before I take the next caller, okay, let me just take this call, Ground Zero. Hello. 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 Right. This is a poor network. Let me take another Ground Zero. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you're calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from Bamenda.
Okay. And how was the ghost town today?
Now, ghost town today, it was just there as usual. It's just in the area like in Bamboo, Bambili, like the colonial commandant of Tuba.
Yes.
Has locked the stores there in Bamboo today. Because yesterday I heard that he was walking around and telling people to open. That if they don't open today, they are going to lock the stores. So today they have locked some stores this evening.
Please, something is making a lot of fidgeting noise on your set. I don't know what it is, but please see if you can get that adjusted. The commandant, did he take the gendarmes? It's better now. Did the commandant take the forces to the market and lock the stores by himself or what?
Yes, today evening.
Okay.
So from what I heard from him is that tomorrow that anybody that they see opening the stores, they are going to arrest them.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that information. I was aware of it. I was going to talk about it briefly. So besides that, what is going on?
As usual, normally everywhere was locked today. It is not open as he was instructed yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Let me try this caller once more. Hello, sir. Hello.
Good evening, Secretary. Good evening, Secretary Chris.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you're calling from, please?
I'm from Ground 1, but presently I'm calling from Ground 0.
Okay, and what do you have for us today?
My contribution is in that drama that was acted in Yaoundé. I know two persons that were there.
You know
They
two persons who were there, okay?
Yes, but they have never been refugees. I'm coming from Ground 0, Adagon, Community 15.
Wait.
These guys have
Wait,
never been.
hold on. You are coming from Ground 1, now you are on Ground
From
0,
Ground 1.
and you know two persons who were in that drama staged at the airport in Yaoundé, and you don't know them to be refugees.
They are not refugees. I met with them in Bamenda the day they were going. They left Bamenda on the 28th.
28 of what?
Went down to of December.
Okay.
On Nigeria.
Were you already on ground? Were you already on Ground 0 by the 28th?
Yes, sir.
And you met these two folks.
Yes.
Are they men or ladies or women?
Men, two young men.
So how did they get to How did they get to accompany this flight from Nigeria to Yaoundé then?
What happened is this gambler, or how can I call him, a foster, he has something, he's communicating with people even right here in ground 1, ground 0, where I am now.
Okay.
Until now, communication is still going around.
So are you saying that?
Ground 0.
So you think that you communicated with these 2 people that you saw? They crossed over to Nigeria, boarded that flight back to Yaoundé?
Yes, sir. And I'm convinced. I don't know. I don't know how to send their Facebook account and names to you.
Text me their Facebook names.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Yes, text it to this number. Text it to this number, and if possible, you have a photo of them at that airport. Also forward it to me and check them on it, so I will identify.
There is one the video that is the video that the drama that was posted there on the video.
Yeah.
The video that's viral out. If you check where the video ended, there is one guy with I think he's putting on a tracksuit with a cap.
Okay.
And then behind him there is a guy with these dreadlocks.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
Video
Yes.
ended.
Yes.
Yes. So, and the guy, I'm gonna send you his profile, his Facebook profile, and in that Facebook profile, there are 2 of them, and you will see the 2 persons on that profile. They are the ones, and I will send you that there are 2 separate names, accounts, but those 2 persons on that profile. There's one profile with 2 guys there. They are the 2 actors. They have never been fighters, neither activists or anyhow. They are just hustler in town.
And they have not been refugees
because
too?
of money monger. I don't know how. Yeah, they are not refugees.
All right. Thank you for calling. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have unmasked. That drama, that performance at the Yaoundé airport. Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, how fraudulent and corrupt these La République du Cameroon officials can be? Look at that airport drama. Ministers, Paul Atanganji, commissioners, director, line up, shaking. When did ministers in La République du Cameroon start lining up to receive their citizens? When? Of course, we have unmasked the drama. For those of you who were very troubled, very worried, please, even if that were true, we have gone through a lot of this. We have seen a lot of such drama. It hasn't stopped us. It hasn't killed the revolution. And none is going to kill or affect this revolution. We will stand and hold on to our armor until Boya become our destination. Now I want to talk about lockdown, ladies and gentlemen. We have agreed on the date of lockdown. Now first, I'd like you to ignore, ladies and gentlemen, Ground Zero in particular. Some folks went out there and put out a certain date for lockdown. We are asking you, Ground Zero, ignore those dates. We will not allow rooks organizations, enablers, the kind of people that you will see tomorrow in Yaoundé airport, being received by Paul Atanganji, leading you. We will not allow that to happen. I've already mentioned in this broadcast that organizations, the so-called Ground Zero Defense Council, does not exist. They are kidnappers and rogues. The AMF, we don't recognize them. They are kidnappers. Any group on Ground Zero that is led by warlords and people behind bars, we keep them aside. We cannot listen to them. And activists, wayward activists, irrelevant activists who are in the diaspora, pumping them up. We will put them out there and name them and shame them. The interim government has a lockdown date that maybe Wednesday or Thursday, that announcement will be made. So please stay put. Do ignore any announcement, any fake announcement out there about lockdown. You will hear the right dates from us, possibly Wednesday or Thursday. And I want to believe that the self-defense gentlemen, the National Self-Defense Council is doing something about the situation in Bamboo with this commandant who is taking laws into his hands, doing what a Kemalev undone by shutting down people's shops in that community in Bamboo. We will not allow these kind of lawless, recalcitrant fellows to continue perpetuating these atrocities on our people. I believe this will be taken care of. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I have a very, very special broadcast tomorrow on security on Ground Zero, and I'm going to be having two guests here. I invite you to stay tuned, and I am going to see you tomorrow. It is still going to be a very, very, very interesting program. So please, same time tomorrow. Thanks for again tuning in today. Remember, ABC is beginning to accept advertisement, 30-second advertisement, 1-minute advertisement. If you don't know how to do an advertisement, to design your own advertisement and send to ABC, just call me on that number you find on your screen. We will talk about it. We can actually do or design your advertisement for you, and you pay for it to be run. Or if you just want me to use my own lips to announce, talk about your business, your party, your event, yes, I will also do that. We have thousands watching on ground, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, watching on Ground Zero and in all of sub-Saharan Africa. And we have thousands also watching on the social media. You will never regret. You advertise and support ABC, Amba Television. Good night.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay.
Start a new career as a Linux system administrator with an average salary of $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Dynamic Tech Academy has transformed many lives for the better through our 6-month Linux program. We are so excited to announce that we are adding DevOps course and Red Hat certification at no charge, which will make students more competitive. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet vast majority of alumni land jobs in 3 to 6 months after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student employment, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will provide resume building, interview preparation, and job placement assistance. With the Linux course, you get more than 300 hours of in-depth training, and you get to learn from experienced instructors. By the end of the program, our students can be Red Hat certified if they choose. Our alumni work in companies, both government and private companies in the USA, Canada, and even Europe. Want to learn more about the program? You can contact us at info@dynamicdmv.com, or you can call us at 240-604-9505, or you can call us at 240-423-7865. And you can also visit us at www.dynamictechdmv.com. If you are interested in online classes, please register on our website. That's once again
We are no fools on the hill. My people are no fools on the hill. You must let my people go, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people's sons, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I said, we want to know who owns the land. I want to know who owns the land. Aslan, hey, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan. It must be free. Angola wants to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia wants to know who owns the land. I say, Soweto wants to know who owns the land. Zimbabwe wants to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Papa Slam. Now listen to the history. We've been here since creation. We've been here since creation. What else do you know? Since the time of sun and sun. Since the time of moon and stars. Since the time of air and sea. Since the time of men and things. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. I said, we must rule our purpose land. Purpose land. Oh! Okay now. Now I want to talk to my people. Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Yeah, Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Now we are the crossroads. On the Femo, don't be like. Billy Sarah done it all. On the Femo, don't be like. Oh, Palimu Maya Gera Baba. Yeah, oh, Palimu Jackson Yaraka. Oh, Palimu Tizanya Betonye. Oh, me, oh,